Welcome everybody to Mom Street USA. My name is Jackie, aka Wishes Mama, and on today's episode of Mom Street, we are continuing with our one-day park strategy series, and we are going to be talking about Animal Kingdom. So this episode, you may look at the timestamp and go, this is a little bit of a shorter episode. Well, that's because there is a ton of change happening at Animal Kingdom right now. So I am going to talk about it and chat about kind of what is going on over there right now, with the assumption that a lot of this is probably going to change once some of these new things open over here at Animal Kingdom. But so far in this series, we have talked about Universal Studios Florida. We have talked about Magic Kingdom. So now we're going to talk about Animal Kingdom, and let's see what we can come up with for our one-day park strategy. So the goal is, if you've got one day in Animal Kingdom, what is the best use of your time, and what rides should you hit first? What rides can wait till later? And what does it look like if I use lightning lanes or if I don't use lightning lanes? So all of that we've got some answers to and some opinions on. So that is the goal for today's episode. Just a couple general notes about Animal Kingdom. Disney's Animal Kingdom, also known as DAC, has the shortest operating hours of all of the Disney parks due to the animals. So one day in Animal Kingdom is not going to feel like, a super early to super late open to close when it comes to that. Typically speaking, Animal Kingdom is open about 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on most days. But you always want to check your My Disney Experience app for the best park hours, because it can vary during different times of the year. Some parts of the year when it's really, really busy, like gearing up for the holidays, they can stay open a little bit later. But generally speaking, that is something that you definitely want to take a look at. The other thing to consider is that some of these attractions actually close a little bit early, mainly the safari and the Wilderness Express train that goes out to Rafiki's Planet Watch. So that's something else to consider when you're looking at your time that you're spending at Animal Kingdom for the day. So we're going to jump into suggested itineraries are for your day at Animal Kingdom. Right now, Animal Kingdom really only has about 5 attractions. But it's also got a couple shows and some other things that you can do as well. There is a ton of construction happening right now. So the entire area that was once Dino Land USA is being converted right now into the Tropical Americas. That is where the Encanto ride is going to go. There's going to be a carousel over there, and there's going to be an Indiana Jones themed attraction over there as well. So Dinosaur is going to be converted into Indiana Jones starting in early 2026. So I am going to talk about Dinosaur in this, but with the caveat that February 1st, I believe, is the final day for Dinosaur. So keep that in mind if you're someone listening to us in the future and you're going to be headed to Animal Kingdom. Dinosaur will be closing to make way for Indiana Jones. So let's talk about what your day might look like if you are planning to use lightning lanes at Animal Kingdom. Now, a couple notes. This park currently is very, very easy to accomplish using lightning lanes. You are definitely going to get on everything very easily, and things twice if you choose to do them standby as well using lightning lanes. That being said, I'm a huge fan of lightning lanes. I love using them in the parks. I love being able to help other people use them in the parks. I don't necessarily think that lightning lanes at Animal Kingdom are a need. Most days, most time of year, the crowds are spread out enough that you're not going to need lightning lanes. That being said, we'll talk about that in a minute, but we are going to talk about how to use lightning lanes if you are planning to use them. Now, this park with their lightning lane setup, again, I'm not going to go into great detail about lightning lanes, what they are, how to use them, how to book them, all that kind of stuff. We did that a few episodes ago. So if you need like the very basics on lightning lanes and what they are and how I use them, hop back in our archives, check out that episode, then come back over here. But currently at Animal Kingdom, they do not have tiers for their rides. So the other parks have tier 1 and tier 2. Animal Kingdom is all on a level playing field right now when it comes to that. It does have one single pass attraction that is Flight of Passage. So those are your options when it comes to using lightning lanes. My suggestion, if you are planning and budgeting to use lightning lanes, definitely grab Flight of Passage. And then for your first 3 attractions, for your multi-pass, I would book the Kilimanjaro Safari, Navi River Journey, and Expedition Everest. Those are going to be my suggestions for that. Now, let's jump into the itinerary. Day of, I suggest you arrive to Animal Kingdom at least 30 minutes before early entry time. As far as I'm aware, Animal Kingdom is still holding early entry guests towards the front of the park. When you enter through the tap styles, you're going to go left and get tapped in over there for your resort early entry. We talked about with Magic Kingdom that they kind of shifted things, and you'll hear we're going to talk about that again later with some of the other Disney parks as well. But that is the way that that works. So early entry, because you're using lightning lanes and you're going to be able to get on everything using those lightning lanes, my suggestion for rope drop is to do whatever ride is the top priority for your group, because you've probably already booked a lightning lane for it, but this will give you the ability to then do it a second time. So if it's Expedition Everest because you like the thrill rides and the roller coasters, do that one. If it's Flight of Passage and you want to try to get a second ride on Flight of Passage, do that if you're early entry. If you're not early entry, that line's going to be pretty long. But if you're willing to wait up to 45 minutes to an hour, then go for it. Do note that the safari is not open during early entry and typically doesn't open until about 15 minutes after park is officially open. So if park open is at 8, safari is going to be opening at 8:15. Now they may let people into the queue earlier than that, but they're not going to start running those safari trucks with guests on them until 8:15. And keep in mind that that is also one that will sometimes close early or will close the line off early just for the animals on that attraction. So your morning is going to be, again, rope dropping, whatever attraction is the top option for your family. And your first lightning lane, you can definitely book that within 30 minutes of park open at Animal Kingdom. We talked about at Magic Kingdom waiting to book that first one until 60 to 90 minutes after park open. Animal Kingdom is not that way just because it has a smaller number of attractions and there is more to do. You'll have plenty to do as you're walking in between those attractions. You're going to use your lightning lanes in the morning for those top 3 rides that we already talked about. After that, you're probably going to be close to lunchtime. The other thing that you can consider is going to some of the shows, Festival of the Lion King, the Finding Nemo musical, both really amazing shows that you can go to when you're visiting Animal Kingdom. But chances are that your first, 3 to 4 attractions is going to take you up to lunchtime. Several different places that you can look at for lunch, and these are all great mobile order options. Again, highly suggest mobile ordering your lunch and dinner to save you a ton of time. You're not having to wait in line. You can go scope out your table, get everybody situated, and then go and get your food once it's already ready and for you to just grab your tray and go to your table. Satuli Canteen is a great option. Flame Tree Barbecue is a great option. Pizzafari and the Yak and Yeti quick service option. All great options. You're really going to want to look at where you're at in the park and which one's closest to you and just kind of by default go there, because it can be a lot of trekking from one corner to the next if you are not careful. So keep that in mind when it comes to picking your lunch location. You're going to just kind of want to, by default, go with what's nearby. I highly suggest Satuli Canteen. That's my favorite place to go at Animal Kingdom when it comes to mobile ordering for your quick service lunch. After lunch, you're going to want to round out finishing your lightning lanes. So the only lightning lanes that you've got left after those first 3 are Cali River Rapids, Dinosaur for now, and then the new Zootopia show also has a lightning lane option. It just opened the day that I'm recording this to the public. So I don't exactly know what wait times are going to do with that specific attraction and what the lightning lane variability is with that. So just take a look at that on your app, see what the return time looks like. If you are booking your fourth lightning lane and Zootopia is already towards the end of the day, maybe go ahead and grab that one so you've got it in your back pocket for later, if that's something that you guys want to do. So a little bit of uncertainty with that one just because it is so new, but those three are the only other attractions that you have to book. So once you use those first three on your multi-pass, those are your next three that you're going to book. So book them in order of importance or book them in order of how quickly you can get a return time. The later the return time showing on the tip board in part of your app, the more likely they are to quote unquote sell out for the day if it's a really busy day over at Animal Kingdom. So just some things to keep in mind when you are booking your secondary round of lightning lanes over there. Always remember you can hold 3 lightning lanes at all times. So be sure that if you pull up your app and you're looking at your My Plan tab, if you don't see 3 lightning lanes for Multipass on there, hop onto that tip board and book your next one. Now, some of the shows over at Animal Kingdom will have lightning lane options. They're not always necessary, unless you don't want to, like, get to the line super early, if that makes sense. The only thing you have to be careful of is that those lightning lane return times for the shows are a shorter window than your standard lightning lane. So because Festival of the Lion King and the Finding Nemo musical have set show times, and it's not just a continuous show, you have to make sure that you get there during your time allotted to ensure that you have a seat for that particular showtime. So for example, let's say it's an 11 o'clock show. Your lightning lane is probably, if I remember correctly, going to show you like 10:20 to 10:50 as your return time for that show. So you want to make sure that you get there in that window so you're guaranteed a seat at that 11 o'clock show. Just keep that in mind. So the afternoon is going to be those additional 3 lightning lanes that we just talked about, any shows, and then anything that you want to do standby as a re-ride is an option for your afternoon as well. A couple other things that you can look at are they have 2 different walking paths, 2 different major walking paths, I should say. There's several walking paths around the Tree of Life in that Discovery Island area, but there is also the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail, something like that. I don't remember the extended name of it, but that one is going to be found right at the exit of the Kilimanjaro Safari in the Africa section. Your second major walking path at Animal Kingdom is the Maharaja Jungle Trek, and that is going to be in the Asia section, kind of past the entrance to Kali River Rapids. Those are going to be the 2 major walking paths if you're someone that wants to go and look at the animals that they have on those trails. The other thing that you can look at is taking the Wildlife Express train up to Rafiki's Planet Watch. Up there, they've got the petting zoo area with lots of little animals that the kiddos can go in and pet if that's something they're interested in. They also have the animation drawing class out there. So if you've got a little artist or a big artist that's traveling with you and you want to go learn how to draw different Disney characters, that exists out at Rafiki's Planet Watch. That'll take you pretty much all the way up until dinner time. Now, dinner time, you can go a couple different ways when it comes to spending the day at Animal Kingdom. So because Animal Kingdom closes at 6 p.m. quite frequently, you may or may not end up doing dinner inside the parks. It really just depends on how your day has gone. But if you're doing dinner inside the parks, a lot of the same options still exist as far as quick service. There are several table service options that you could look into as well, but there's also tons of options if you wanted to like take a bus to Disney Springs for dinner or go to a resort for dinner. You know, there's tons of different options when it comes to that. So keep that in mind just because Animal Kingdom does tend to close right around dinner time. You may need to just plan accordingly. A few of these dinner locations will close like an hour before the park closes. So again, you just have to look at times, kind of plan accordingly, and make sure whatever option you are looking at is going to be available for you and your group to eat dinner. But that pretty much takes care of your lightning lanes when it comes to Animal Kingdom. Again, very feasible, very easy to do. I think we just talked about 7 attractions plus the 2 shows and the walking trails and the train. All definitely easy to do on your day at Animal Kingdom, especially with lightning lanes. Let's talk about without lightning lanes, what that list order kind of looks like. So again, you want to get there at least 30 to 45 minutes before you can access the park. If you are a resort guest, you're going to go left. If you are a non-resort guest, you're going to go to the right after you have tapped in at the tap styles. For rope drop, if you are a resort guest and you're not using lightning lanes, you have to rope drop Flight of Passage. There's no other way to ride it without having to wait in an hour plus line most days, unless you rope drop it. So you want to get there early. You want to be in the front of that crowd waiting to get let in, and you want to go straight to the far left side of the park to go to Flight of Passage. After you get off of Flight of Passage, you're going to want to hit Navi River Journey and cross your fingers that it's less than a 30-minute wait. And that's going to take up your early entry into park open time. Immediately after that, you're going to want to go to the Kilimanjaro Safari because that, again, will be opening about 15 minutes after park open. Now, that being said, you may have to leave one of those out if the safari is a top priority for you, because you want to get in line for the safari at the very latest by 15 minutes after park open, because that wait time will shoot up to 45 minutes very, very quickly. And that line is not super fun to wait in. There are a few animals, a few screens where they're talking about different things with the animals, but overall that line is not super fun to wait in. So if the safari is a big thing that you want to do, you're only going to be able to hit one of the rides over in Pandora. That being said, the ride you don't hit over there now goes to the very end of your list, and you get in line right before park close to do it. So there is an option. Both of those rides are fairly reliable, knock on wood, right? But both of those rides are fairly reliable as far as they don't go down super often. They're not closing early for anything frequently, anything like that. But in a perfect world, you'd be able to get Flight of Passage, Navi River, and the safari all done within the first hour and a half of the park being open. After that, it really just depends on your wait times. My best suggestion is to work clockwise, starting in Pandora, going up into Africa, over into Asia, and then ending over in what is currently Dinoland USA, soon to be the Tropical Americas. That is probably going to change once Tropical Americas opens, but after the safari, I would head towards Kali River Rapids. It typically also has a delayed open, so chances are good that maybe you catch that right as it's opening, and you'll be able to hop on with less than a 30-minute wait over there as well. If you make it all the way over to Expedition Everest, that is a very high capacity ride. So the chances are good that mid-afternoon towards lunchtime, it still won't be more than a 25-30-minute wait over there. It does also have a single rider line. So if your party is someone that can utilize single rider lines when it comes to some of those thrill attractions, definitely an option. And it is a really good single rider line. That's probably going to take you up to lunchtime if you haven't already gotten lunch. Again, you're going to want to look at some of those different quick service locations. Satuli Canteen, probably not an option for lunch if you're following this itinerary, because it is all the way back over in Pandora. But something like Yak and Yeti's quick service is right near there. That's a great option for lunch if you are over in that Kali River Rapids area. So again, we hit those ones in the morning, we hit Kali River, maybe we hit Expedition Everest, or maybe we do that right after lunch, depending on what your preference is with that. Then you're going to continue your way around. You're going to hit Dinosaur. for now until it changes over. Again, this plan will probably all change whenever Tropical Americas opens with those new 3 new attractions that are going to be over there. But for now, you're going to hit Dinosaur. After that, then you're going to take a look at the Wait for the New Zootopia show that is under the Tree of Life and do any of the walking trails around the Discovery Island area as well. The other things that you can look at are show times for Festival of the Lion King and the Finding Nemo musical at that point in the afternoon. Both of those typically run all the way up through about 4 p.m., if not a little bit later. So you still got some time, but keep an eye on when the last show times are for those to make sure that you don't unintentionally miss out if that's something that you want to do on your trip. And then again, same thing with Rafiki's Planet Watch. Keep an eye out on Wildlife Express train that goes to Rafiki's Planet Watch. Keep an eye on the times for that as well, because typically if the park closes around 6, that train typically stops running about 4:30. So keep that in mind as you're looking at the different options there. But those would be kind of my suggestions. Now, you could wait and do the Zootopia show and the walking paths later if those shows and the train are higher on your priority list, because those do close earlier and the other things are open more often longer into the night. Sometimes the walking trails close too. Again, with those live animals at Animal Kingdom, you really got to look at what the hours are for the different attractions. All of that is listed on your app. So if you're looking on the map section of your My Disney Experience app, click on that attraction and scroll underneath where it says like the title and description, and it'll show you like the operating hours for the day. So take a quick look at that to make sure that you're not unintentionally, accidentally missing out on a walking trail or that wildlife. I keep wanting to say Wilderness Express train, Wildlife Express train out to Rafiki Planet Watch. You want to look at those hours to make sure that you've got that kind of in the back of your head whenever it comes to planning your afternoon. Again, when it comes to dinner time, you may or may not end up in the parks, depending on what is going on with your where you're at and if you finished all of the things that you wanted to finish or not. Also, keep in mind that if you had to skip one of those rope drop attractions, Flight of Passage, Navi River, or the Safari, I don't suggest skipping the Safari. Definitely hit that in the morning. That's the very best time to see all of the animals on that. But if you had to skip either Flight of Passage or Navi River Journey, the end of the day is your best time to get in line for those. So remember, you can get in line up to 1 minute before park close. So if you want to do Flight of Passage, your best chances to do it right at park close. You won't have as many lightning lanes coming through. Again, we talked about this at Magic Kingdom. That first thing in the morning and last thing at night, you don't have as many lightning lanes coming through, so they don't kind of slow down your standby queue nearly as much during those times of the day. So lots of things to keep in mind, but overall, Animal Kingdom is a fairly simple park to navigate. And most of the time, like I said, I truly don't think you need lightning lanes for that park. It is very easy to do if you are able to get there early, especially if you're on property and have that early entry time that you can utilize. That is the best way to tackle Animal Kingdom. I really don't think you need lightning lanes. Now, if everything at Animal Kingdom is on your list, you don't want to do multipass, maybe you have an extra few bucks to throw towards a single pass for Flight of Passage, that's also a great idea. So then you can rope drop Navi River, do the safari, and then come back and do Flight of Passage right after you have done the safari, and then continue on the rest of that loop like I talked about. Again, starting at the bottom left of your map, if you will, and continuing your way clockwise around to hit those attractions. So overall, again, Animal Kingdom, fairly simple to navigate. I hope that this was helpful for those of you that maybe needed a little bit of guidance when it came to Animal Kingdom. Again, like I mentioned in the last episode, if you are someone headed to the parks in the near future, from when you're listening to this, and you want some additional advice, please send me a message. I am more than happy to help you with your itinerary, to help you figure out what makes sense for your group, what doesn't. more than happy to do that. You can reach out to me on any of our social media platforms. You can also find us momstreetusa@gmail.com. And that email is good if you've got questions or suggestions or anything that you want to give input about for our upcoming podcast episodes. We would love to hear from you via email on any of our social media and also on our new Patreon account that we've got. Again, we're going to be posting some graphics over there shortly for the first several episodes of this one day park series that we're doing that just kind of give you the visual rundown of these different lists of attractions that we've been talking about. So that is coming very soon over on our Patreon. So be sure to head over there. Tons of free content over there, by the way. It's never expected for you to pay a membership fee or anything like that. Our unedited podcast episodes do live over there, as well as some other fun content. So be sure to check that out if you haven't yet. But for today, that kind of wraps up our time, albeit brief, at Animal Kingdom. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this episode of Mom Street USA, and I will see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.